Well, hello everyone, Texie88 here and welcome to another review. And now we're taking a look at Ruff and Tumble, which was developed by Wunderkind, an offshoot of Renegade, who published it, and the game came out in 1994, and it stars Ruff Rogers, the titular Ruff, and you can see the developers there. So you've got a choice of either pressing fire to start the game or pressing O for options. So we'll just look at the options. As you can see, there's a 4-digit passcode once you get beyond level 1, but there is a caveat to that, which I'll get onto later. And there's also a chance to turn on or off the in-game music. Although, given how funky this music is playing is, quite why anyone would want to do that is anyone's guess. But it's there if you want to take advantage or otherwise investigate that. So let's just start the game, shall we? World 1, the Fantasy Forest. Hang on, little fella. So basically, Ruff is an 8-year-old boy who loses one of his marbles whilst he was playing, and what he thought was a rabbit hole that one of his marbles fell down turned out to be a means of getting to another planet. So, as you can see near the top right corner, you can see in the top right corner is my score. But to the left of that, can you see that there are 3 differently coloured coloured marbles, one red, green, and blue, and you can see a number above them. That's the number of marbles that are missing that Ruff has to collect. If he doesn't collect absolutely every last one of them, then he will not be able to go through the exit door. The door will just be locked until he's got every last one of them. So, as you saw, just a few moments ago, I collected one of the 2 blue ones I needed, and I've just picked up a laser. To every so often you can pick up a different weapon depending on which power up you get. It's worth noting that these additional weapons have a time limit on them, which is shown near the top left corner. The laser's about to run out. Now it's just this moment gone back to the regular machine gun. Right, so I've now collected all of the. You can see it now says OK above the 3 marbles that I mentioned earlier. Now I can actually go into the exit. Had even one still been remaining to be collected, then that exit would still have been locked. Now these flashing hearts are definitely worth the look. They give you an additional hit point and replenish any lost energy to that point. So until I collected that, I only had 3 hearts in the top middle of the screen there. But now I've got a 4th one, and that lasts until you lose a life. So you can carry that across into the next level. Same goes for any weapons that have yet to expire. This game only came out for the Commodore Amiga, as far as I can make out. And these spawn points, once the lights on them stop flashing, then they will no longer spawn any enemies. So you'll always know when they're never going to be any more enemies coming out of a particular spawn point. And it's worth pointing, every time you get 100 of those coins, you get an extra life. Now that's a blue key. If I don't collect that, then I cannot open this blue lock. I just can't go through there. So until I collect this blue key, I can't get in there, but now I can. And the skull and crossbones are things that you can collect as smart bombs. Even though this is a laser, for some reason I still can't shoot through things. These are springboards, and that's a shield. And what I just stepped on there is a restart point. I'll go back to there if I lose a life now. Right, I've just picked up another of those hearts things. So now I can take 5 hits before I lose a life. See, this spawn point down here, which is just beneath Ruff's feet now. No more enemies will come out of that because it's no longer pulsating with lights. See, that one is, so there's still at least one more enemy to come out of that one. See, now it's no longer the last enemy's come out of that. It's now switched off and no longer pulsating with lights. There's a heart up there because I don't need it. Now I do though. So I took a hit there. So it seems as if only at the moment I've only seen a small number of enemies respawn in this particular world. The helicopter-like ones seem to be the only ones that you can fire diagonally upwards and downwards, and you can also fire straight upwards. Although this is a little bit fiddly because you can only do that once you've actually started firing. If you try and directly fire diagonally upwards, for instance, then Ruff is just going to jump. So you actually have to hold down. You actually have to press fire, hold down, and then press diagonally upwards, like so. Otherwise, your character will just jump. I got another blue one. So I've got more marbles to find and collect this time. No, even though I picked up one of those flashing hearts, which would normally have given me an extra hit point, I don't get that this time because I can't have more than 5. And as I was saying about, the coins earlier. But one thing I didn't mention, which I will now, is that not just coins, but any item that you pick up from a defeated enemy, it'll only stay there for a short time before it disappears. See that shield that was on the ledge just then, it disappeared because it came from a defeated enemy. I didn't pick it up in time. Now, as you can see, I've now collected all of the red and blue marbles I need in order to go through the exit. But what hasn't happened yet is me collecting all of the green ones that I need. I need to find 4 green marbles in order for me to be able to go through the exit. Controls graphics look really nice. I've just about seen the other 2 green ones. Getting 100 coins isn't the only way of getting an extra life. Because if you're lucky enough, you can also find an icon that looks like Ruff's head, and if you pick that up, you get a 1-up through that. As you see in the top middle, I've taken 1 hit for the 5 hits I can take. But luckily, all that transfers across into another level. You only go back to 3 hearts if you lose a life. You'll also lose any weapon other than the machine gun that you might have been carrying at the time. Now that weapon there doesn't give you another weapon, but it does temporarily extend the length of your shots. See, look how much further I can shoot compared to before. But like the weapons, it does have a time limit on it, so don't go mad. Yeah, I was trying to direct my gunfire upwards with that just then, but unfortunately, because of that can be a little bit fiddly. It's very easy to accidentally jump because you don't. It's a bit of a chore to have to start firing, hold down the fire button, and then press to redirect the fire button. Because a lot of Amiga owners only had didn't have joysticks with 2 independent fire buttons. That kind of thing was pretty much forced upon. Oh god. Yeah. But luckily you can duck as well. But if you want to duck, you must press down before you press. You must press down before you press fire if you need to duck and fire. Yeah, I better get that. I'm running low on health. Seems you can't shoot directly downwards, but you can shoot directly upwards, as you just saw there. Don't land on spikes; they kill you instantly, no matter how much health you've got. Now I've just picked up a flamethrower. Not great range, but it's powerful. Ooh, there's a little bit in there. I just picked up an extra life. So my lives are shown in the top left corner. I've got 4 lives. My flamethrower's worn off, but luckily there's one of those checkpoints just here. My understanding is there are 4 worlds each and I've played on my Twitch channel. I've played 3 of the worlds and got to the end boss, although I didn't manage to defeat the end boss at the end of the 3rd world. But which brings me on to my next thing. As I said earlier, as you saw from the options menu earlier, there is a level code, but if, for example, I were to complete the first world now and get the level code for the 2nd world, if I were to key in that the code to do that on the options menu using that option that you saw earlier, while it let you do that, it only effectively amounts to practicing that level. If I were to completely finish off the boss at the end of World 2 using that method, I would not, under any circumstances, get the code to access the 3rd level and continue from there. You will only get that if you complete the 2nd world and defeat its boss right from the very beginning of the game. So you can see there's the exit down there, but because I haven't collected all of the marbles I need, it's shut. I mean, although generally the controls work well, one thing I don't like about this game is the amount of momentum on Ruff. It's a bit too much. I would have preferred it if it was a little bit less extreme, because this can cause problems with maneuverability later. I've got that flamethrower again. See, look how quickly I was able to defeat these enemies with the flamethrower. And you can see, you can tell when an enemy's just about to come out of one of its spawn points, because the light in the middle turns bright. Like that. See, it turned bright because it's showing that it looks like the spawn points are active. Some spawn points only activate if Ruff is standing in a certain place. Whereas others might just activate only after certain conditions have been satisfied, or will just happen regardless of where he is. And you get a bonus for the coins you've collected in the level, and the hearts you have left at the end of the level, and certain other, and how many enemies you defeated during that particular level. It is also a bit of a shame that this game came out in 1994, when the Amiga's fortunes were somewhat less than they had been a year earlier. Because in March of that particular year was when Commodore and US filed for voluntary bankruptcy. I don't know how to get up there. Obviously, you must be able to, but I can't figure out how. I don't know. I've been able to get close, but I just can't quite jump high enough. So I'm presuming there is a way of getting those. I just haven't figured out what that is. See, that coin disappeared. I didn't collect it in time. Like I said earlier, you only get a limited amount of time to collect whatever defeated enemies drop before they disappear. I've got rather more marbles to collect this time on this particular level. Now you've started to see some ladders. The problem is that these ladders, in the heat of things, can be a little bit tricky to use. Because if you're not standing in just the right place and you want to go down a ladder, for instance, you'll just duck. And if you need to jump to grab a ladder, yes, you can do that, but that seems to be even less reliable at the best of times, which is also quite annoying. I better not jump across there. Those are spikes. Another aspect which can be a bit frustrating about the need to get these marbles before you can exit is that if there's only one marble you need to find, then you've got to try and investigate the whole level. See, I just tried to grab that ladder and it just wouldn't do it. Oh. See, being able to duck it to come in very handy for those things. I've just picked up another blue key. Damn it! I lost a life. I've still got the key, but one thing I only went back to the very beginning of the level because I didn't find and jump on a checkpoint marker. Now, so going back to what I was saying about missing marbles, if you accidentally miss just a small number, then it can really be quite a chore if you don't know exactly where you haven't been or where the marble might be. See what's, and that's another thing. You can't redirect your gun while you're actually in midair. You can only do that while you're actually standing on the ground. Damn it. I'm going to lose all my lives in here, but it doesn't actually matter because this is a review. It's not a serious gameplay. So yeah, if you've only got one marble to find and you haven't got a clue where it could be, you could potentially have to go through the entire level and investigate every last nook and cranny that you might have missed. Which is not so bad on these earlier levels because they're really quite short, but on later levels, which can get much longer, it can be quite annoying. There's a shield down there. I think I better get. Yeah, and although you can't run out of ammo, you can see there's a meter near just to the left of where my health is. As you use the gun, that meter depletes, and the closer it is to being exhausted, the fewer bullets you can fire in succession until you build it up again. Then you can go back to firing rapidly. Oh. This doesn't apply to the weapons that you can pick, the other alternative weapons that you can pick up. Yeah, I've just used that blue key I picked up earlier. So all in all, I really quite like this game, even though it does have some issues with the controls, as I mentioned earlier. But luckily, I managed to pick up 100 coins, so I actually gained an extra life because of that. Nice graphics, nice sound effects. Damn it! Now I've lost all my lives. But I won't replay World. But if you are practicing a later level via a level code, I'd strongly recommend you press R to replay World, because otherwise you'll have to key in the code again in the options menu. It doesn't keep that. Because I didn't get to the second level, I didn't get a passcode. So that was Ruff and Tumble, released solely for the Commodore Amiga in 1994. There was supposed to be a CD32 version, but that ultimately never got a release. So that particular tale remains untold. Graphics, really nice. It's very rare that I couldn't see what was going on, and I've experienced three worlds of 4 levels and a boss each of this particular game at the time of recording this review. And the music does change on when you try and go from one world to another, so it's not that same music that you heard during the levels I've just been doing. And sound, well, you got this cool techno sounding music here, and it's great to listen to, and it gets you pumped for what you're about to start playing. And although sound effects, some of them could have done with being a bit beefier, but I've heard worse. But considering this is 1994, there just needs to be more meat on the bones of some of the sound effects at least. Gameplay. Well, the controls respond well enough in general, but as I've said before, the problems of having to start firing before you can redirect the gun whilst you're standing on the ground can be something. While there are times when it's not such a problem, if you're surrounded by enemies and it can be a bit of a blind panic if you're trying to redirect your gun and you don't get a chance to because of that slight delay that can be caused by having to start fire and then, whilst you're holding down the fire button, redirecting the gun to fire where you want it to go. So that can make certain bits a little bit more annoying than they could have been. And the fact that you can't actually that you can only get the level code for a particular world if you play through the game right from the very beginning up until the point where you reach a new world. Not such a problem when you're going from world 1 into world 2, but if you, as I said earlier, if you're using a level code from world 2 onwards to get straight to that world, that would just effectively count as a practice, because even if you defeated the boss at the end of that world, you won't get the level code to the world after it. You'll just get a game over. You have to play right through to the end of that particular world right from the very beginning in order to get that. And without looking at it, I've just out of curiosity, I had a look at walkthrough of this game on YouTube just to get an idea of how long it could potentially take, and it seems that it can take over 2 hours to do that. So having to spend at least 2 hours playing through a game right from the very beginning. This is in a track mode, so you can actually see some of one of the later worlds here, and you get different enemies as well. But yeah, so it's just those little. So what I was saying about the level codes being as punitive as not allowing you to continue from where you left off right until the very end. You have to play right from the very beginning. Seems a little bit unfriendly. But all in all, I'm really impressed with Ruff and Tumble. It's just those little niggles that prevent me from giving it a 9 out of 10. But I am quite happy to give it 8 out of 10. Very enjoyable, just some niggles into the slight cruelty involved in the way the passcodes work, which mar it. So if you're, it's also arguable it's not particularly original, and as I said earlier, the momentum on Ruff himself can cause him to slide off platforms, and that can be a bit of a pain as well, or slide headlong into a baddie that he's trying to avoid running into. But generally, other than those, the challenge is just about right. and even though it's not particularly original, it's still above average. So if you're after another Amiga platform run and gun game and you've exhausted the Turrican games, you could do a lot worse than give Ruff and Tumble a whirl. So 8 out of 10 for Ruff and Tumble for the Commodore Amiga. So I hope you enjoyed this review. Hope to catch you on another one soon. Texie88 out.